So there have been several videos teaching you how to make freeform curves and then extruding them into freeform planes. And probably at this point you're wondering, well, how do I make all these freeform um, organic kind of planes into any kind of solid geometry? So we're going to look at a simple example of how you do that in this video. And this is more of a methodology. So when you start to get into design, you might think, well, how do I contrast this freeform with a solid geometry like a cube, so that I can start designing something that doesn't just look like a big jumbled mess of organic stuff. So we'll pick up with one of the previous videos where we were using the sweep. I'm going to delete that for this one. And you'll notice that when you use these tools, you end up with the lines separate from the surface. So I'm just going to, for now, delete everything. So let's have a look at this surface we created. I can't even remember which tool we used to create it, but I'm going to copy it and paste it. So I'm going to have two of them. Because if I screw this up, I don't want to mess up this thing. I want to have a spare. So I'm just going to grab that and pull it over here. Okay, so if I select here and pull that surface away, there's the line that I created, the armature to make that surface. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a very simple sort of cube here. I'm just going to extrude it. Extrude the curve straight. So you remember that tool. We started with that in week 1, creating cubes. All right, so if I take that surface, and what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to put it on, I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees. I'm going to take the top of this cube and I'm going to replace it with that surface. So there's a 90-degree spin on that. And if I select it and put it there, and what I can do is trim it. I'm just going to trim the top part of that cube and make it into a cube with a rectangular form with a kind of freeform top on it. So the way I'm going to do that is just the split tool. So if you remember the split tool, I click on it and it says objects to split. So the object I'm going to split will be the cube, and then the cutting object is going to be the surface. Select the cutting object, press enter when done. And so what happened was I cut it, obviously. Now here's the thing, how do I get that surface, all this overhang, I got to get rid of it. And I want the cube edges to align perfectly with that surface, that freeform surface we created. And then all we have to do is do another split. Let me deselect everything. Split tool again. This time we're going to reverse the order. So the object I'm going to split is that plane. Select the cutting object, it's going to be the cube. And that's how I get that freeform surface onto a regular rectangular geometry. And then all I have to do here is select both of them and join them. Okay, and the only thing you have to remember is that the bottom is still open, but it became a poly surface because I joined them, and then the simplest way to do that is just cap it. Or the other thing you could do, for example, is if you wanted the bottom surface to be any kind of curved surface, you would go through the same process. So this is how all these freeform surfaces can be used in creating solid geometry.